John, and this is my good buddy Andy, and you're listening to the Packers Blitz podcast, the podcast done by two fans, Packer fans who survived the dark times of the 80s of Packer football and live to talk about it. And this podcast is always dedicated to the greatest fans of all, Packer fans. So that's something, again, we're always going to have Packer fans, and we love you guys. So, again, Andy, I know there's not a lot going on. So we're just welcome to our kind of podcast talking about Packer football. And again, I cannot wait to get the season started. How do you feel? You right? You want football?
Can't come soon enough, John. It definitely
Can't come soon enough. And
yeah,
I'm not a
yeah, we're not gonna. I think family nights in early August. Even preseason games don't start till middle August or whenever it is. So yeah, I'm definitely looking forward to seeing some. I will watch preseason. I would even watch preseason
we're
at
gonna
this
watch
point.
preseason, right?
Right.
Yeah.
So how you doing?
I'm doing good, buddy. Like
good.
I said,
yeah, it's been about 3-4 weeks.
Yeah.
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 The last
and
Packers Blitz podcast was on May 15th, I believe. So,
yes.
That's an indicator. It is truly the kind of the show's off season.
And just
so sorry everybody out there, there hasn't been much to talk about. So
so Packers
we're finally back.
Yeah, so Packers Blitz fans, we're going to be like doing an every other week thing, hopefully, until we can get up to training camp, because really there isn't anything to really report. We're going to be talking about a couple things that you guys, when you hear Packer fans, will be like, oh no, not the Rodgers Gutey thing. But before we get to that, Andy, why don't you tell them about what the Greek Freak, and just so you people who know who are listening in other countries, if you don't know who the Greek Freak is, he is one of the greatest basketball players. He plays for the Milwaukee Bucks, and seems like a real fun guy. I wish I could meet the guy someday. So Giannis, I'm in the Kupo. What did he do on his Instagram, Andy, that we love, that we thought was hilarious?
Yeah, before we talk about that, yeah, he posted a really funny video a few years back when they won the NBA championship after like 50 years?
71 last time we won.
Yeah, so yeah, he had the trophy, the NBA championship trophy with him, and he was going to all these places with it. It would not let it out of his sight. So basically he was taking it in the car with him. He's going through the drive-through and just really excited about being a champion. And so yeah, I still remember that. So yeah, he posted a video on Instagram, and basically the Greek Freak said that he wanted to take over for Aaron Rodgers. He had some time off. They didn't do too well in the first round of the playoffs, and they lost in the first round. We won't talk a whole lot about that. Congratulations, Miami Heat. You outplayed us. So he had some time. So he said, and I quote, "I'm taking my talent to the Green Bay Packers. If you need a quarterback, I'm available for the next couple of months. I got nothing going on." And that was Giannis, a direct quote for him. So he is so awesome,
He is hilarious.
And, so I'm not sure what your thoughts are about that. I know it was kind of a neat little video. Hopefully you saw it.
I did.
Do you have any comments on him wanting to be our starting quarterback?
So, Andy, what is his stats again? He's what, 6'6"?
He's 7 foot tall, 243 pounds.
Oh, man. Well,
and totally ripped, because yesterday, which would be, well, maybe it was the day before, maybe it was on Friday of this week, he posted, I think, some pictures or video of him working out, and he is totally ripped. So, I mean, I think he could probably, with the quarterback room that we have right now, he might be able to back up Jordan Love right now. But I would guess if you looked at him, and again, he went viral. Uh, I'd probably move him to the defensive side of the ball and make
Mm,
him
I like
outside
that.
linebacker or
I like
defensive
it.
end. With his
Yeah.
length and everything, he'd be able to at least
Oh,
bat down
sure.
some passes. And again,
Ooh.
he is the Greek freak. He's a physical specimen, and that guy could probably get around the corner. He's
Oh
and
man.
wreak some havoc. And
Yeah.
yeah, so
I
that's what
like
I'm
it.
thinking. He's more probably should be on the defensive side of the ball. But it was kind of a funny post that he did.
Yes.
So I figured we'd
Yeah.
bring it up.
I I think the guy's hilarious, and I think he is a great ambassador for Wisconsin and the NBA. Hopefully, he doesn't become a prima donna like the rest of our guys, Favre and Rodgers. Maybe it's just a football thing. Hopefully, it's not a basketball thing
Well,
because
he's very humble, and I think he really appreciates the
mm,
Bucks giving him an opportunity and selecting him in the
yeah,
draft, and he's very, very loyal. So, but
yes,
yes, they are trying to
hopefully,
do everything they can
yeah,
to keep him as long as they
yeah,
possibly can, and they should, because he's probably one of the top three
yeah,
basketball players in the world
yeah,
right now.
yeah,
So, yeah,
yeah,
just awesome player, and a great ambassador for the game, and a great ambassador for Milwaukee and the state of Wisconsin.
absolutely,
So,
absolutely. So, speaking of, well, this is a football podcast, so you're probably going, why are you guys talking basketball? Well, we're gonna
yeah,
do it
what are you guys
again.
doing?
We're gonna we're gonna
Yeah.
talk now about boxing. And you're going, boxing? What what are you guys doing? Like this, like you guys have literally nothing to talk about. You're talking about boxing. No, what I'm talking about is the rematch between Rodgers in this corner, Aaron Rodgers, and the other corner, Brian Gutekunst. And again, one thing I want to say that Andy and I were not going to bring this up again, and because we were like, I know you guys are sick of it, Packer Blitz fans, but it just won't go away. And Andy and I were talking beforehand, and I don't know about you guys out there, but ESPN has turned into a bunch of gossipy old women. They don't have the fun when like Dan Patrick was there and Chris Berman and all these other Rich Eisen who were there, just to name a few, who just had fun and reported the news, and like it's a swing and a whiff, and they would say that rumble bumble stumbling and stuff like that. It was just fun to watch. It was like, right, Andy? It was just interesting. But now here we go again. We got to talk about a little bit of this. So we're not going to dwell too much on it, but basically, somebody, I ain't going to get into the reporter's name because I don't care. It's from the Athletic, which the guy must have been bored because he kept bringing up stuff that was really just hashing up the same stuff. Andy, do you want to read this or you want me to read it? According to
No,
the
I can read
Athletic.
it. Yeah, yeah.
Okay, you go
Basically,
right
this
ahead and
is
you read
kind
it.
of this first part of it is going to be kind of Rogers' feelings on
Yeah,
Goody the guy and
yeah.
whatnot. So this is basically kind of in a nutshell his feelings toward Brian Gutekunst, our GM. So,
Mm-hmm.
according to The Athletic, not only did Rodgers' agent David Dunn apparently ask the Packers to fire Gutekunst in 2021, Dunn called Packers president Mark Murphy requesting that Green Bay either fire Goody or trade Rodgers. The Packers attempted to, in quotes, protect the relationship between Rodgers and Matt LaFleur by telling him the 2020 decision to trade up and draft Jordan Love was strictly that of Goody. Goody made that decision by himself. Rodgers
Uh-huh.
then didn't buy that. And Rodgers basically said they all signed off on it. The quarterback,
Yeah.
our former quarterback, Aaron Rodgers now blames his former GM for failing to communicate and win his personal approval.
Come on.
So here's a long, direct quote from Aaron Rodgers addressing this lack of communication. So I'll just read this and then you guys can make up your own minds how he feels. But this basically is what it is in a nutshell. And here we go. This is Aaron speaking. You're going to stand on this hill of austerity and say that arguably in the conversation of the best player in your franchise history, you're going to say, I couldn't get a hold of him, and that's why we had to move on. Like, come on, man.
Oh, come on!
Just tell the truth. You wanted to move on. You didn't like the fact that we didn't communicate all the time. Like, listen, I talk to people that I like. End quote.
Ooh.
So that's kind of a major dig on Gutey, and basically in a nutshell, he doesn't like him.
No.
And so he wasn't
But who doesn't like their
yeah.
boss? I mean, come on. How many people out there
Yep.
honestly can say they like their boss? Give me a break.
Yep.
Worry about Super Bowls. We've already been through it. Who gives a crap about whether you like him or not? Just win a Super Bowl. All right? There you go. So, man, anyway, go on. Sorry.
Yeah. And then basically Gutey's feelings on Rodgers, the flip side of this. GM Brian Gutekunst told reporters that he unsuccessfully tried to contact Rodgers, in quotes, many times to gauge his quarterback's future. The quarterback and GM had agreed to meet in person while Gutey was traveling in Southern California for the NFLPA Collegiate Bowl in late January, but the two never connected. So they were trading phone calls back and forth, and they never met. They never, were able to meet at all. So the Packers GM did give Aaron Rodgers credit for doing what Brett Favre never could do. This will make John feel good.
Yeah.
They are both two-time all-time greats, but A-Rod clearly beats Favre in mentoring his younger backup quarterback for the last few years. And I'm going to go into some detail about this. And remember the last podcast, John, I promised I'd talk a little bit about this during this podcast. So that's why I'm bringing it up. And it kind of ties in with, so Brian did say some nice things about A-Rod mentoring Jordan Love, which he said really, really helped. But anyway, when it comes to Brett Favre, Favre looked down on his mentoring duties and couldn't care less. In fact, here is his famous matter-of-fact comment by Brett. Here we go. This is what he said, and I quote, or he quotes, or he said, "My contract doesn't say I have to get Aaron Rodgers ready to play," end quote. Whereas Aaron, on the other hand, said this in regards to Jordan Love. And this is Aaron speaking. "We had a great conversation the day after the draft, and I'm excited to work with him." So that's what Aaron said. Pretty much the exact opposite of what Brett Favre said. So the Packers appreciated that a veteran NFL quarterback, mature, like Aaron Rodgers, would be willing to help in Jordan Love's development. It was a nice, if not a little surprising, gesture of goodwill on the part of A-Rod. He made sure that Love saw him as a resource and a competitor. So you got to give Aaron some credit on that. Where Brett, you can't. So not at all. Buddy. So, and then Gutey shared some thoughts with Peter King from Sports Illustrated. I believe he's a columnist for them. This is what Gutey had to say, and this is the nice thing that he said about Aaron. So he said, obviously, Jordan Love sat, and Aaron did a great job just kind of mentoring him. So it was nice that he gave him
Mm-hmm.
some kudos for that. And then Kristen Wong, and I believe it's that would be a she. I'm not sure, but Kristen Wong from the Fan-Sided, I think said it best when she said, "In 2023," and this is a quote from her. "In 2023, the Packers' young core gets its training wheels taken away and will naturally wobble. But Aaron
Sure.
Rodgers' last gift to the franchise was putting Jordan Love on the right track, even though Brett Favre couldn't bother to make that effort with him all those years
Right.
ago. That's where you draw the line between a great quarterback and an ever
Right.
better one." So that was kind of a dig on Favre. So I
Yes,
figured
it was.
I'd do that, and
Thank you.
I'd put that quote in there for John and for
Thank
Packers
you.
fans
Appreciate
out
that,
there
buddy.
that actually prefer Aaron Rodgers as their starting quarterback. But we
Which
were lucky with both of them, so
we're
But
very
when it came
lucky.
to mentoring young quarterbacks and young drafted quarterbacks and rookies,
Mhm.
Favre wouldn't have been your first choice for that. So,
No.
but
No, he
so what do you
wasn't.
think about that comment, John? Did you have anything you want to add on that?
No, I mean, not really. I think that's a great comment. I think all the digs that, including me, on Aaron Rodgers is he doesn't want to see Green Bay fail. Brett Favre wanted to see them fail. He even admitted it, and I'll have to find the quote sometime. And it was even on his biography of when he came back to Lambeau, um, how after the Vikings beat us the first game at the Metrodome and kind of just beat the crap out of us and beat up Rodgers and everything like that. He wasn't going like I mean, they showed him Favre after the game, and he was, just the happiest ever, just jumping around and partying and just making it like he won the Super Bowl. And I'm like, that's why I started to lose respect for Brett Favre because I'm like, dude, you really built your career and your family's fortune off the Green Bay Packer fans, and now you act like this, and you got your way to the Vikings. Why Rodgers, he is, kind of like, oh, I mentored this guy. I wish everyone the best. But him and Gutey will not be exchanging Christmas presents anytime soon. And
No.
I don't know anything about right. I don't know anything about Gutey, other than he was there through the Wolf regime. He was most of the Wolf regime, not all of it, all of the Ted Thompson regime. So he learned by two of the masters of the salary cap, of drafting, of all these different things that they did so well and not so well. You think he would have learned, right, Andy? And the first thing he would have learned would be like, well, when Brett Favre and Ted Thompson were having this fight, and Mike McCarthy, yeah, okay. Maybe I'm not going to do this when it comes to Aaron Rodgers. And he hasn't, but underneath, you don't know what's going on. You don't know what kind of person Goody is. And other than what Rodgers is telling you, basically, I don't like the guy. He seems like a kind of a jerk. Um, so I don't know. I mean, we'll see. I just thought it was a really interesting comment, though. So thank you for bringing that up, Andy. Anything else you want to add on that?
Yeah, probably just one thing popped into my head, and I'll probably regret
Mhm.
saying it, but we do, because we don't have an owner. There's sometimes not an accountability
Yeah,
that
right.
they're making the same mistakes over and over again. And I think if you
Mhm.
had a owner with some
Yeah.
cojones,
Yes.
they would have put an end to this
Yeah, they would have
to
fired
that
him.
right away.
Yeah, they would have
And
fired
if you have a strong owner
Yeah.
and strong values and a strong commitment to the organization, a strong commitment to winning, uh, yeah, that really, really helps. And because of not having an owner and us, you know, being that small market club and not having one and being owned, technically by the fans, I guess, kind of,
Right.
it's just a different dynamic. And
Correct.
but they just kind of fell into the same trap that they fell into before. And I can't
Yeah.
believe as adults they couldn't have
Yes.
figured it out, figured out a better way to go about doing
Yeah.
things. I can't believe they
The
didn't
same
have a
thing.
powwow. Let's all get
Yeah.
together, guys, in a room here. Let's talk
Right.
about
Right.
this. Where did we make the mistakes before? And let's not make them
Before,
again
let's
because
not do
they
them.
were major mistakes. There were so
Yeah.
many mistakes.
Absolutely.
And you just don't want to keep making them over and over again. And
No,
that's
you don't.
exactly what happened. Strong owner, I think, would have put a stop and an end to that
Right.
awfully quick, because then you've got
Absolutely.
people that are going to be held accountable and, fearful, that there might
Yes.
be repercussions for them not doing their
Right.
job. And there's a lot of people at
Right.
fault, and
Right.
so,
But
but we're
with
going to
that
move
being,
on.
yeah, go ahead.
Yeah, and we're going to talk a little bit about Green Bay. Green Bay
Yay!
is the city and the team of surprises. Lots of surprises, John. Did you want to go
All
through
right. I like
this,
surprise.
John, or do you want me to do it?
Well, let me. One thing I found out from my wife that she told me was, and I'll start here, and then you could take over. How's that sound?
Sure.
Okay. So my wife let me know this is Green Bay, Wisconsin ranks as the numero uno best place to live, according to the latest U.S. News and World Report rankings. And one thing I want to add is so I've been going to Packer games for over 20 years. Okay. I've been very fortunate. My friend, his parents own have had tickets since Lombardi. So I'm very, very fortunate to go. And one thing I will say that when I first started going, Green Bay, kind of like your old dumpy, mid-sized town. But ever since in the past 2, 3, 5 years, wow, it's completely opposite. It looks amazing. And it's just this great town with this great dynamic and energy. And so I can see why. And one of the funny things is that people forget it's home to one of the most storied football franchises in the NFL. So now you're moving to a city. There's not a lot of cities you can move to. Big cities, sure, but smaller cities that have one of the most iconic football franchises. And like I said, the Green Bay Packers, Green Bay has like you said, Andy, in here has the perfect mix of big city amenities complemented with Midwestern small town feel. And this city boasts a thriving entertainment and art scene, revitalized downtown, 2 college campuses, creating an energy that may appeal to younger families as well as retirees. And this, again, from the U.S. News and World Report. So that's what I wanted to bring up. So if you want to talk about the next section here, but I think that's the most amazing thing that is it's crazy. Like I was just for joking, Andy. I was looking for homes in Green Bay. I said, "Hey, honey, let's move to Green Bay now." And she was like, "Yeah, whatever." I was looking for homes in Green Bay. Oh boy. So like an average 3-bedroom home about the size of our homes, they're close to $500,000 just within the city limits, and they need work. This is not a move-in house. And the ones that don't need work are over 1 million. So I'm like, damn, how did that happen? Because normally you look at some of these homes, before all this, yeah, you could get a decent home for 100, 200,000. So not anymore. You're not getting that anymore. So that's amazing. So Andy, take it here. More importantly,
Yeah, even more to both John and I
yeah,
and this Packers Blitz podcast. And you might want to actually get some cheering going here after I say this, John. The
okay.
NFL draft is headed to Titletown. So the
That's amazing.
2025 NFL draft has been awarded to Green Bay, Wisconsin, home of the Packers and legendary Lambeau Field. Commissioner Roger Goodell, usually there'd be some booze. This is what he said. Yeah, so
Go ahead.
So the commissioner said, and I quote, and he quotes, "Our prospects and fans will be treated to an incredible week-long experience that shows off the city of Green Bay and the state of Wisconsin." So that's a quote from Roger Goodell. So thanks, Roger, for helping that process and picking Green Bay finally. I mean, they have not. When have they hosted, John?
Nothing.
When have they ever hosted?
Zero.
Yeah, exactly.
They
Okay.
hosted. No. Hold on. I take that back. In 2010, I think during our Super Bowl year, maybe shortly after it, Roger Goodell, for whatever reason, was going on a tour of the stadiums or something. I don't know. But anyway, they were doing a live State of the Union for the NFL there, and Roger Goodell was just talking out of both sides of his mouth like he always does. And that's about the only thing I remember. I don't remember anything else,
Yeah, so basically the last 3 weeks have been great for the city of Green
Yeah.
Bay and its NFL team. So I just didn't know if you had any reactions or thoughts on, this. It's kind of surprising. I mean, you kind of
It
knew
is.
that it might happen, but it actually happened,
Right.
And I was pleasantly surprised to hear, Green Bay is the number one town to live in, or city, sorry. But yeah, that's awesome too.
Geez. That is great too. So yeah, Green Bay, people there must be just like, wow, I didn't think this would ever happen. And I'm in that camp too. I'm not gonna lie, because Green Bay is a great place, very nice place. They've done some amazing things with it, but and Packers Blitz, we will be there at the draft, Andy. We will have to figure out what we got to be there, man.
Yeah, we have to figure out a way to make it happen. That's for sure.
Yes,
so
we
yeah,
do,
I'm really excited about the possibility of that. I think it would be just a
this
hoot.
is once in a lifetime. Yeah. And it's not like we're going to the Super Bowl and spending $10,000 on a seat on the nosebleed seats. I think these tickets will be a lot less expensive than $10,000.
Yeah. Yeah, on a downer though, fans are roasting the choice of Green Bay. So I selected a few of these, and then I'm embellishing a little bit and kind of came up with my own quotes. Some of them are pretty much word for word. Some of them I kind of modified to make them funnier.
Okay.
So I figured I'd just say a few of the ones that people had said. So this is one of them from a fan, and this is what the fan said. And the first pick in the 2025 NFL draft is Frosty the Snowman. That was the first quote. I'm not getting any laughter from this, John. Okay. So the second one was, hey, maybe I can finally meet Olaf from Frozen. Okay, maybe not. And then there was another dude that put a picture of Jack Nicholson on the screen, and I was trying to figure out, okay, which movie that was from and whatnot. So basically, here's the quote from him: "If I go, I'm going to look like Jack Nicholson at the end of the movie The Shining."
Okay,
so basically, there's an end scene. I don't want to give away the movie, but Jack Nicholson is kind of frozen.
He is. Yeah. The movie's been out for years. If you haven't seen The Shining, come on.
Yeah, it's Stephen King. Very scary movie. So
yeah, right. Come on.
And then the last quote that I had, and this is pretty much a direct quote, was this: "Since there are not enough hotels, the fans will need to camp in the surrounding wilderness to stay overnight." And that was another fan's comment.
I give you that.
I think that had been an issue in the past with hotels and whatnot, but I think
Correct.
a lot of that's been rectified because they
Yes, it
were in hopes that they were gonna be hosting some events and this and that. So I think there's that's not an issue anymore. I don't think so.
No,
At least
not
I hope not.
really. No, not really. Not for the draft. The problem is they've been trying to get the Super Bowl there, and you're never going to get the Super Bowl. I'm sorry.
No.
And if they do,
No.
holy, you know what? That's cool. So yeah, so great things for Green Bay. I love it because usually the big cities, New York, Miami, blah, 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 they always get everything and like, hey, why don't you come up our way and see the way football should be played? So anyway, all right. So we have some mini camps, and I know this isn't the most exciting stuff, but you want to talk a little bit about that, Andy?
Yeah, so the Packers had the rookie minicamp and voluntary OTAs.
Yeah,
there's mandatory, and then there's voluntary. So this is voluntary OTAs. OTAs fans means basically it's an acronym meaning organized team activities. So so voluntary OTAs have just ended. The organized team activities lasted 3 weeks and consisted of 8 practices. So that's basically what they just had. Yeah. So here are some of the hot takes from the OTAs. There was so much stuff, John, so I just felt I had to kind of narrow it down, and we don't want to totally bore people with the information, but I picked some interesting ones for people to learn about. So one of the ones that just came up a few days ago was quarterback Sean Clifford, who was drafted by us, and a lot of people said we shouldn't have drafted him at all.
No, we shouldn't.
And we kind of got ripped a new one, so to speak, on that.
Yes,
but he is on track to win the backup quarterback job. So
speaking of that,
yeah.
Oh no, I don't know if you already brought this, going to bring this up, but I'll bring it up a little earlier. So I don't know if you know this, but Aaron Rodgers, Sean Clifford has his locker. They did not move his, and Aaron Rodgers supposedly sent like a video or something like that and said, "Hey, Sean, how you treat my locker and everything is a farce." I thought that was kind of funny. I thought that was pretty good.
That
because
is funny.
Again, not to pick on Brett Favre, but with Brett Favre, when he left, they just put like a glass thing over it so no one could use it and all this. I'm like, come on. And
that's a little bit
Aaron
full of
Rodgers
himself,
leaves,
isn't he?
and they're like, whatever. Here's your locker to one of the greatest Packers and Hall of Fame quarterbacks. Yeah, no pressure. Here. Anyway, go on.
Yeah, Evan Winter of A to Z Sports.com. With all due respect, Clifford did not seem like he was a good prospect. His two biggest weaknesses, ball placement and decision making, are easily fatal flaws that will sink any signal caller trying to make it in the NFL. End quote.
Oh,
so basically that tells you what to think of Sean Clifford. However, Sean Clifford is impressing. Most recently, he completed 9 of 11 passes for 75 yards that included an 8-yard TD pass to Jeff Cotton on 4th down. Actually just been doing really well in camp too. He's been one of their better wide receivers. So he's caught a couple touchdowns.
All right.
The Athletics' Matt Schneidman, I believe I pronounced that right, thinks that Clifford will beat out incumbent Daddy Etling for the Packers' backup quarterback job. So if it isn't, Danny Etling, it's not Sean Clifford, it could be Giannis Antetokounmpo. Yeah, he's gonna fill in the meantime. Giannis is ready.
Hell yeah.
He's hilarious. He's awesome.
He could just dunk it. When he scores a touchdown. Like some of these guys have to like like Kelsey can dunk it, and Tony Gonzalez, when he played tight end, could dunk it. But on Kupo, he could bring down the whole damn,
Yeah, he will
upright.
have no problem seeing over the line. No problem whatsoever. So
No
that's
problem.
yeah.
Oh.
Freak athlete.
So
So
what?
I bet you he probably could do, a couple
Very good, very good.
series.
So
fill in.
what has Matt LaFleur said? What
Yeah,
has
he
been
mentioned that
saying?
rookie defensive lineman Colby Wooden, Carl Brooks, I believe that's your
Carl
guy.
Brooks.
Lucas
that's my
Van
guy.
Ness and Brenton Cox have stood out the last few weeks.
Okay.
Cox in particular was undrafted after playing for Georgia and Florida. He is 6'4",
right.
250-pound outside linebacker, and he
Yeah.
may be the most likely undrafted free agent to make the Packers roster. So I figured I'd mention him. But Brenton Cox, he has a lot of upside. He just got into some issues. We won't go into him at Georgia, transferred to Florida, but he
better.
is also a freak athlete. And yeah, so I figured I'd mention him. But yeah, Carl Brooks in particular, John, I wasn't going to bring this up, but there's been some articles about him that keep popping up. So I think you'd be spot on with that.
You.
Yeah, and they said
see, right?
Wooden looked really good too. Very solid player. Lucas Van Ness was wreaking some havoc like normal, and so that's a good sign. There's some young players on the defensive line that we desperately need. So yeah, right. Yep. The Athletics, Matt Schneidman also gave an encouraging update on Green Bay's premier pass rusher, Rashan Gary.
Yes.
So I figured I'd bring this up, John, just for you. He has been rehabbing extensively on the side at practice and looks like he could get 3 sacks in a game right now. He's a freak, and he just looks angry when he rehabs. He tore his ACL on November 6th. The Packers' first game is on September 10th. That's that's more than 10 months. Right around the time we'd expect Gary to return. Don't be surprised if he's playing week 1 in Chicago, end quote. So that was actually a quote from Matt Schneidman. Wasn't my words, but his. So we have a lot of quotes in this podcast.
Yes, we do.
Trying to get some accurate information going for the fans. But yeah, that's great news.
Yep.
With Rashan Gary back, that allows rookie Lucas Van Ness to kind of ease in to his first year as a third pass rushing option behind Gary and Preston Smith. So that's going to be great if he can play right away, and they don't have to put him on the PUP list. So.
But
any thoughts on that, John?
But remember
that's your guy, Rashan Gary.
I hope he can come back. But remember what Ferentz said, from head coach of Iowa Hawkeyes, about Lucas Van Ness. If you listen to some of our past episodes, go back and listen to him. I think in our draft recap. Remember, Andy, what he said? He said, the guy's about 2 years away. He needs a couple years. So hopefully Rashan Gary and Preston Smith can give him that time, because I just don't think he's going to be the guy out of the gate. I could be wrong. I hope I'm wrong, but I just don't see that happening. So we'll see.
Yeah, but if he's a disruptor like I've seen at least on tape, I would put him in the middle of the line even and just have a bull rush. But we do have some really good players. Wyatt, our first round pick from last year, is supposed to be in that spot. So, but if he's going to be a force, a presence, and if he looks halfway decent, they actually might give Rashan Gary a little bit more time to recover and maybe throw him in there.
That would be nice.
We'll see what happens. But that's great news on Rashan Gary and great news on the rest of our defensive linemen.
Yeah, we just got to get Eric Stokes back. That's the quarterback.
Yeah, that was another one I was going to mention, that Matt LaFleur had said he was doing really well in his rehab. And so
Okay.
there was some big question marks because of his injuries.
Right.
Because they actually think he
Yes.
actually had a couple
Yeah.
surgeries, and they
Yes, he
weren't
did.
really sure when he was going to be back. But there was some good
Yeah.
comments that
Okay.
positive comments that Matt LaFleur made, and I guess he's
And
on track
remember,
to come back.
this all happened it freaking against the lines of Ford Field where Rashan went down, Stokes went down. I think there was 2 other Packers that went down, and 2 of them, Stokes and Rashan Gary, both had season-ending injuries. So I'm like, it's a natural gas debate, which we talk about some other podcasts. But anyway, Romeo Dobbs, Jordan
Yeah,
Love, they look like they're
yeah,
in love together. What's going on?
yeah, because they work together often during the off season. There seems to be a chemistry, a bond that has developed between
All
the 2
right.
players. Coincidentally, Dobbs was Love's go-to target during OTAs, so he was his go-to guy, which makes sense. So
It
Coach
makes sense, yeah.
LaFleur said that he was impressed with Dobbs' work ethic and deliberate approach to his craft. So that's a good sign. It seems like Romeo's gonna be a player for us, and that's gonna be awesome because we need some weapons on offense. So
Yes,
that's
we
pretty
do.
awesome. And the last thing I wanted to
Really
yeah, go
quickly
ahead.
before you get to that last one there, Andy, one thing I wanted to bring up that again shows you that it's a bunch of gossipy old women out there. Romeo Dobbs said there's not much of a fall off between Jordan Love and Aaron Rodgers. Well, everybody took it like you're crazy. You're comparing a Hall of Fame quarterback to Jordan Love. Well, the thing was he was just talking about arm strength. And I'm like, okay, that's great. But he wasn't talking about Jordan Love as the next Aaron Rodgers. So I think people again that they don't have nothing to talk about and they just throw this crap at you. But I thought it was really interesting for Romeo Dobbs to say that. I think you better keep an eye on Romeo Dobbs because he sounds like he might start saying some other things. So you might want to pull him aside and be like, hey man, just don't give Rodgers any more fuel because that's all Aaron Rodgers needs is that extra chip on his shoulder. So anyway, Tyler
Be
Goodson.
good for the Jets if he has an extra chip on his shoulder. So
yeah, I'm sure they
yeah,
love that. Tyler Goodson.
last thing I wanted to mention, running back Tyler Goodson continues to impress with the ball in his hands, displaying good vision and an ability to make defenders miss. He is also being utilized out of the slot, John.
Interesting.
So that is very interesting. He may be the lone running back kept on the roster behind Aaron Jones and Corey Dillon. So I figured I'd mention running back Tyler Goodson because he's having a really good camp. And we don't have a whole lot of, we got, 2 really good running backs. But as far as the backups go, it's good to see somebody step up. So I figured I'd mention that one. It's all about those offensive weapons, John, right?
Yeah.
So
the more you have, the better shot you're going to make it.
Yep. So that was the voluntary OTAs and then the rookie minicamp.
It's mandatory. Come on.
So there is a mandatory minicamp.
Thank you.
That goes June 13th through the 15th, and after that,
which is this week,
breaks after it stops. Right. The players will not be back for any team activities until the start of training camp at the end of July. So that's where John and I, the next few weeks, are going to have to find things to fill in. And we'll do our best on that.
So
John,
conclusion. I just wanted to say, just really quickly, I'm super excited that Green Bay is the city to live. One of the best cities. That we got the draft, that Packers Blitz. We'll figure out how to get there. And speaking of that, we're kind of we are a small podcast. So, anything you guys could do to support us, to get us out there, because Andy and I, like I said, we're diehard Packer fans. We just want to give you guys a fun experience. We're not always going to hit you numbers. rumors and all this stuff. We're going to just give you guys our opinions, what we think. Two people talking at a bar. That's the kind of way we want to keep this podcast. So again, please support us on Spotify, iHeartRadio, YouTube. Please leave a comment, rate us 5 stars, because again, all that support we love, and especially from all over the country, like Australia and Canada and Mexico and California and all these great places where every Packer fan lives and dies for our Packers. Again, moving forward, we would do our best, because in July, just to let Packer fans know, if you don't know this, but usually after, I believe the 4th of July, all the coaches take like 2 weeks off and everybody's gone. Everyone's out of that building. So unless something happens major, which I don't see happening, Andy and I will probably have, a podcast episode here and there, and just kind of have some fun with it. But when we start training camp, we are all in, right, Andy? From training camp to the last game, hopefully it's the Super Bowl, to the last game, Andy and I are all in every week, all the time. And we're going to be talking Packers, and hopefully we'll be talking Packers winning. But Andy and I know that may not happen. But still, we love our Packers. That's all I have to say. Andy, what else you got for us?
Yeah, so on Packers Blitz, what did we actually learn today, John? So
what did we learn?
what did we learn today, Packer fans?
What did we learn, Packer fans?
The top 3 things that I just wanted to mention again, and John mentioned it before, Green Bay was recently ranked the #1 city in America to live. Green Bay will now be hosting the NFL draft in 2025. So logically, Green Bay is the best place that John and I can possibly watch the draft in person. So that's going to be pretty awesome. That's the first thing we learned today. Second thing we learned, it looks like, Rashan Gary may be back for the first game against the Chicago Bears.
Fingers crossed.
And we are going to need him to play angry.
We are going to need
play
him.
like the top 10 pass rusher in the league that he is, and play for his new contract. So, which is upcoming. It's gonna be a
big one.
Yeah, he's going to get the bag. So he's got to play for that. Right.
Yes.
Yeah. So it's good news on that front. So I just want to mention that again. And then the last thing, what we learned today, former Packers quarterback Aaron Rodgers and GM Brian Gutekunst need to grow up and stop all the gossiping. They both are acting like little kids. And they have to get their way, and they have to win the argument that cannot be won. So, hey Aaron, hey Gutey, just knock it off, please. And take the high road, and let's move on. Let's move on with our lives,
Yes, absolutely.
But we are ecstatic about what's upcoming. And we're going to try to put together some really good podcasts for you guys upcoming in the next few weeks. I do actually have a few topics that we'll have to talk about, and it should be good every couple weeks, right, John?
Absolutely. And like I said, once training camp has started, we will be a weekly podcast, because that's the way we roll, buddy.
Right.
So get ready.
Right.
Start doing some push-ups. Start doing, some leg work. I don't know.
Yeah, and I usually mention it every podcast. We really need the support of the fans, and if anybody has any topics, John, where can they send that topic to?
Yep, PackersBlitz80@gmail.com. Please just, you can email us. We like to get emails. I've gotten some emails in the past, and thank you for your support. Also, we're on YouTube, so you can just make a comment. Just be like, hey guys, why don't you talk about, like when we talked about top 10 Packers, that was one of our best episodes. If you want us to talk about top 10 worst Packers, we did talk about that too, but maybe you guys have a difference of opinion. Maybe you guys want to talk about that we're bashing Jordan Love too much, or or that we're too much on whatever, the Super Bowl, anything. We'd love to hear from you. So PackersBlitz at gmail.com or our YouTube channel, Packers Blitz. Just go on there and comment. We love to hear from you guys. Anything else, Andy?
Love you, John. Love love the Packers and love the fans, the best fans in football, and we appreciate everything. And we'll talk to everybody and do our podcast in a couple weeks.
Yes, we will talk to you after mandatory mini camp. So if we have something, hopefully we will.
Yep.
Mandatory. So it's mandatory that you come back and listen to Packers Blitz. All right, buddy. I love you. I will talk to you soon. All right. Go Pack, go.
Go Pack, go.